What up, nation? Welcome back to the second NBA Wise stream of the day. CK013 here for those of you who didn't catch the early show. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And this is WiseTake Nation hour. Really 2 hours. The early slate, real quick, just want to, I know a lot of people play FanDuel. Some people do because they have to, and I don't have any problems with FanDuel. I think that there's some strengths in playing it, but curious as to why they did the slates the way they did today. Just really a disaster to start at 5 o'clock and make it a massive slate on FanDuel where you don't have late swap and not provide a decent 7:30 slate. That was just kind of crazy to me. But hopefully those of you that play FanDuel, we did have some FanDuel content for the early. Sounds like some of you did pretty well. Shout out to you, Stacks. Says he tripled up earlier. That's what's up. Doing it strong with the nation. We're on YouTube for the time being under a different channel. As you see on the screen, youtube.com/WiseTake is not our current channel. It's currently suspended. We'll get into all that some other time. We've already gotten into it. But nonetheless, if you could find us on YouTube under the new channel, WiseTake DFS, please subscribe there. We plan on going back to the main channel, but until the suspension gets lifted, we're going to be here. And of course, you can find us on Twitch if you like the Twitch platform, twitch.tv/WiseTake. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, all the good stuff. It's right on the screen. This Wise stream, a little more in my comfort zone. The early slate kind of, made things scramble, but a little more comfortable with this one. Similar time, only a 5-game slate. I think it's pretty interesting. We have the FanDuel pricing on the projections that we'll go over, but we're mainly going to be talking about DraftKings because FanDuel just doesn't really have a good slate. So it sucks, but is what it is. With that said, these projections that you're seeing on the screen, most of you know, if you watch already, are available at wisetake.com with a membership. These are my projections I use. And you can download them and upload them into whatever optimizer that you use, whatever that may be. You can get them at wisetake.com. So with that said, pretty interesting slate. I think that obviously the Portland Trailblazers should be the team of the night. I'm assuming everybody's going to have a lot of them. For a 5-game slate, it's going to be pretty chalky. It's interesting because the guards, Damian Lillard, Gary Trent, Anthony Simons, I think they're going to be the main three popular, especially I think the first two. And it's kind of interesting because the guard is one of the deeper positions on the slate. Power forward also very deep. We'll get into it, but guard is actually one of the deeper positions on the slate. So I think there is merit to going underweight. I'm not necessarily saying that I'm committed to that. I'm probably going to be playing them pretty heavily. The contests were a little lighter on DraftKings today, so I didn't play much in the early slate, and I'm playing a lot more teams at night. So I'll be looking to do the dirty. But I'll probably be heavy on the Portland guys. It's just, full disclosure. I just don't see a way around that. We'll go ahead and get into it in just a second. Yeah, I guess we'll start. What do we got? 20 minutes? Yeah. 20 minutes to the top of the hour, that is. It always throws me off when we do these 7:30s when I do the hour breakdown. I looked up and thought I was out of time. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the games. We've got the marquee game of the night as far as basketball fans go, I'd say, in the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm just going to fucking type that shit in because visiting the Boston Celtics. Anthony Davis is back. You can see that they project okay, nothing special. The raw points, though, pretty solid. And as far as their team goes, they're really the only two that I want at this point. I'm not terribly interested in the rest. I think we're still waiting on Rondo news anyway. Rondo in Boston, if you want that narrative, if he plays, we'll see. But in all seriousness, it's really just AD and LeBron. I think I prefer AD a little bit more, even though the projections kind of favor LeBron. It could come down to a positional thing. But yeah, as of right now, I am going stars and scrubs, but a little more balanced stars and scrubs, where I get that extra balanced player instead of being able to just slam on a stud. That's just the way our projections are kind of pushing us, especially you'll see because the opposing team, the Boston Celtics, are projecting pretty well. They're healthy. We'll talk about it in a second, but they are projecting pretty well at their prices, making for a nice balanced build. Some of the guys are just flat out underpriced. We'll talk about it next. But I do think that Anthony Davis and LeBron are interesting. I know it's a Not the really 225 for a Celtics game is a pretty high total. Same could be said for the Lakers. Lakers 2.5-point road favorites all the way across the country. The Celtics side I'm going to have a lot of, I can tell you that right now. The Lakers side, it's really just AD and LeBron. And as of right now, let's see how much I'm getting here. As of right now, I'm not getting a ton of Anthony Davis, but I do think that I'm going to change that. I'm going to try to get some. Put some caps in here and see where we go. Let's go on to Celtics side. So as you can see, a lot of green for the Celtics. Kemba Walker's back, assuming he gets his normal 33 minutes or so. Projects to be a fine play at guard. Again, that position is extremely loaded. We'll want to keep that in mind. Jaylen Brown is only 6,100. I think that's just too cheap. He does have a sprained hand, so keep that in mind. I only projected him for around 32 minutes, which I don't think is a stretch. I think he will play more than that if he's able to. And obviously, if he's playing, he must be. Gordon Hayward was a big surprise. I would imagine he's going to be pretty popular at 5,600 on DraftKings. He just went for 40. I understand Kemba and what's-his-name were out. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that Gordon Hayward is a guy I'm going to end up with a lot of. And Jason Tatum. 76 on FanDuel is why he's down here. But if you look at DraftKings, 6,900 projects for 5.86x. That's with like 34 minutes. This is going to be a marquee game. I think these teams try to get up, and we're going to see some players get up. So I think I'm going to have like at least two Celtics on a few of these teams, and I am going to have a lot of Hayward. I'm going to have a lot of Tatum, those two specifically. I think Kemba's the one I'll have the least of, but I do want some of him. And even Marcus Smart, he's not projecting great. I understand the situation. I don't necessarily want to ignore him completely. I just don't know if I have room because I'm going to have a good amount of shares of the other guys, especially, like I said, Hayward and Tatum. Jaylen Brown would be right up there with him. The only thing with Jaylen Brown, I'm worried about the sprained hand. So if I change that to 33 minutes, you'll end up getting a lot of Jaylen Brown from where you are now. But Boston looking like a pretty strong team in the mid-tier for sure, as they often are. And, this game, one of the best teams in the West, one of the best teams in the East should be pretty good. Nobody doubt it. Yeah, Whiteside, yeah. Yeah, Stacks is excited about Whiteside. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Definitely a Whiteside smash spot, no doubt. Let's check all these little platforms. Shout out to those of you watching on Twitter, Periscope, whatever you call it. Shout out to those of you watching on Twitch. Of course, the biggest shout out to the WiseTake Nation, those of you watching on the WiseStream page. All right, let's go to the next game. Denver at Minnesota. We have a 222.5 total. Minnesota's actually 2.5-point favorites at home. We know that the Denver team is really banged up. You can already see Jeremy Grant looks like a decent value play. On DraftKings, he's 44, so it's nothing crazy. I think there is a world where Plumlee can see some extended time again, but his price is up on DraftKings. Montemore's price went up a little bit, and he's been awful. Maybe 26 minutes is a little conservative. I think that there's a world where obviously it doesn't work out that way and he gets more minutes. The way things worked out last time, it didn't go that way. But he played 29 minutes against the Pacers. The problem is he was terrible. Shot 1 for 7. But yeah, I do think projecting him for 26 is probably a mistake on my part. I don't think he's going to pop too much anyway because his usage has been so terrible. But let's see what happens. Let's say 28.5. It actually should make a decent difference if we do that. On FanDuel, he already looked decent. Not that FanDuel has a decent, good slate. Yeah, so he's a little bit better now, Montemore. It's a risk, but point guards have been doing it dirty to Minnesota. Will Barton's the one I would want. And you can see on FanDuel, the 6,600 would have tempted me hard. But on DraftKings at 78, it's hard to reach him. Barton is like the high usage point guard. And we saw in the game the other day when they were chalky, Barton played a lot of point guard. And then Porter played a ton. And Morris didn't even close. He just wasn't a part of that picture. But I don't think that's the way it's going to go every time. I think that's how it worked out that particular scenario. So Porter was playing really well, etc. So I don't want to ignore Morris completely, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Will Barton, man, I'm tempted. He's got massive upside, but 7,800 is a lot of money. Again, point guards have done the dirty to Minnesota. He's going to play some point guard today. Michael Porter Jr. is kind of hard to project. The minutes are kind of all over the place. On FanDuel, I would have been a little more tempted at 53. On DraftKings, it's hard to reach. But for tournaments, I don't mind if you want to jack him up a little bit just to make sure you get some. From a minute standpoint, again, it's just kind of hard to anticipate. Let's see. I know he got big minutes the last game. Or not the last game, the game before that. But I want to check one thing. As soon as this cooperates and loads. Too many things going on. Too many things going on. All right, Denver. All right, dude, let me fucking... What the fuck? Barton. Yeah, we probably have to raise him. He played 23 minutes against the Pacers yesterday. So it was a back-to-back, but the game was close. He only played 23 minutes. So that's what makes me nervous to project him too high. The 2 games before that, he did play 29, 28, and they are very thin again. So there's definitely a path to him getting more. I think maybe we can say 28. I think it would be fair. Let's see what happens. Just 2 more minutes. Yeah, I mean, on FanDuel, he would have been an awesome player. On DraftKings, it's still, like I said, 6,500 is a lot. You'd really have to have like a 30-minute or more projection for him to start really popping, showing up. I do think Jokic is a good play at center today against Cat. The usage we know should be higher for Jokic. I expect him to be more aggressive, all that good stuff. So I'm fine with him as an option. But again, Denver's at a point where like they're trying to price him out. I do think Monte Morris is interesting because Minnesota again they've been terrible against point guards with Shabazz there. No more Teague. Not that Teague was any good. So I am interested in Monte Morris. And I think Will Barton's interesting for tournaments, but Jokic is really the only one that looks like strong in terms of the studs, and I don't mind Grant for value either. The Minnesota side, tricky as always. Andrew Wiggins has been playing more. His price is good with no Gary Harris, with no Jamal Murray, or they're missing a lot of their better defenders. I think that the matchup for Wiggins is going to be good. The minutes have been trending up. I know Cat is back, but he seems to be somewhat limited. I think the 32 projected minutes we have for Cat is even maybe a little aggressive, but I think it's a really good matchup, so I wanted something to reflect. But I do like Andrew Wiggins at his price. I think Napier is interesting. It's just how many guys, like I said, guard is one of the deeper positions. How many guys you're going to pass before you get there? And at this point, I think I'd almost rather take a shot on Monte Morris on the other side. I think Covington's kind of interesting. I don't like the $6K price tag. Culver. He had him coming off a monster game. His last game was awesome, but he hasn't really shown anything like that before. The price isn't bad. It's just hard to project him more than the 31 with a Kogi healthy and directly backing him up most nights. And of course, they've been playing McLaughlin at point guard, the backup. So it's mainly Wiggins. I don't mind Napier. I think Culver's on you for tournaments. I just had a hard time projecting him. Let's go to the Pacers and the Jazz. Let's see what we got here. I continue to use this drop down like a fool. Normally it's fine, but on a day like today where there's games all fucking day, it's just a train wreck. We've got a 222.5 total, up from 218 here. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was the fucking Minnesota game. My bad. We have a 215 total. That's more like it. 215 total. Games in Utah. Utah are 7.5-point favorites at home against the Pacers. We know that they have a little bit of a home court advantage, a little bit of altitude, similar to Denver. Starting with the Pacers side, Brogdon in a phenomenal spot. Conley's back. I would anticipate that's going to improve the defense a little bit for Utah against point guards, but Conley is still, as far as I know, he has been coming off the bench, and his minutes have been a little... obviously low. Let's see what the latest is. I think he has played a couple games now. Nope, he's played one, and he played 15 minutes. So I don't think he's going to have too much of an impact on this. Brogdon, one of the point guards I was alluding to, and I said the position's kind of deep. Maybe that takes ownership away from Lillard a little bit. I doubt it, but maybe people take some chances. That's how you look at it. Either you look at it like, that makes me like Lillard more because I'm going to let these other people like mess around with these other guards, or you can look at it like, makes me like Lillard less because there's other guys that have an opportunity to outscore him even in the situation he's in. Now, Lillard, I think, is underpriced. We'll talk about that, but Sabonis I do like against Utah. I don't love the situation. I don't love taking guys against Utah. Outside of Gobert, they have no size. They're just no size. So I'm willing to take a shot on Sabonis, but there's not a ton from this team I'm really that interested in. It's really Brogdon and Sabonis, and that's really not that outside, not that what do you say, out of the ordinary or whatever. On the Utah side, man, they are thin. Look at all these empty spaces here. They are thin. Yeah. Looking at Utah. I can't talk today, bro. I'm tired as fuck. Donovan Mitchell, I think, is in play. Another potential guard you can use. Clarkson for tournaments. I don't mind him as prices come, but remember, Connolly's back, so that's going to affect him, especially with Connolly coming off the bench right now. Bogdanovich, I don't mind. I'm worried about what that looks like. Like, is he going to see Sabonis? Like, I'm curious. No, I guess Royce O'Neal's going to guard Sabonis. Royce O'Neal's an interesting value play. Or one of them is going to have to. Either way, it's not going to be easy. Let's see. Not really into Ingles with Conley coming back. That this worries me. Gobert, I don't mind. They're going to need him on the court. Gobert's been playing big minutes. Here's one thing I'll say about Utah is I say it every time. They do play their guys big minutes at home, even in blowouts. Like it's something they typically do at home. So I don't hate the idea of playing Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert, even if you're not that into this game, just because you think they're going to get massive minutes. Gobert's been playing just mega minutes lately. I do think at 8,100 he's an interesting play at center. We have Whiteside, so we'll talk about that, but just going over Gobert's minutes real quick. Gobert played 34 minutes against the Kings. He had 4 fouls, and that was a game that they ultimately won by over 20. Before that, 39 minutes against the Pelicans, 37 against Brooklyn, 38 against Washington. So he is a guy that they're willing to play the minutes, and I think I'm actually going to increase his minutes a little bit here, especially when you consider they're going to need size for sure. Say we make it a full 36 minutes. Because he's on DraftKings at 81. He's already kind of on the verge. Yeah, that helps. And again, there's room. We could probably... So I'm not going to go to 37. I'm going to go to 36.5 and see what that does for us. Yeah, 5.46. I like that. It says 37 because we round up on this sheet, but it's actually 36.5. But yeah, I mean, just tournament options, Gobert, Royce O'Neal for value if you need it. I say that because we have value already with Portland. And then really Donovan Mitchell, but nothing I love from this game, really. Like, guys I like, nothing I love all that much. Doing dirties, dropping sevens, the whole 9. You know how it is. I got to tell you guys. Oh, my back is killing me. All right, next up. I've been sitting on this damn thing all day. Multiple slates, multiple shows. Oh, back's fucking killing me. We got... San Antonio Spurs visiting the Phoenix Suns. $228.5 total. This lines up to be one of the better games as far as game stacks go. Highest total on the slate. Suns are 4.5 point favorites at home. That's pretty wild. Starting with the Spurs, DeJounte Murray coming off a really good game. If we think he's going to play that 27, I think he's awesome. And I'm going to play a good amount of him. I always do because the upside is so big. He's got that 40 to 50 point upside. The problem, of course, he's got like a 15-point floor because Popovich can decide to play him 20 minutes or less if he wants at any given moment. He'll just do it. LaMarcus Aldridge, though, my favorite play from the team. Again, the issue with Murray is you do have Damian Lillard. It's a more loaded position. The position is fairly loaded at power forward also, but Aldridge does stand out as being severely underpriced on DraftKings at 6,800. We know the Sun's not good against bigs. We know Aldridge's going to get some time at the 4 and the 5. It just looks like a really good spot for him. I know he hasn't done particularly great as well against this team as you would think, but the expectation is really low. If he goes for 40 DraftKings points, like you're golden. So he figures to be a guy I'm going to get a lot of. Patty Mills for value is an option. A risky one, but an option. We know Rudy Gay is out. We know DeMarre Carroll, who hasn't been playing, is out. So that does mean that there's more minutes to go around for guys like Trey Lyles, Derek White, Forbes, Lonnie Walker, and Patty Mills, the way they work them around, especially when they're being weird with DeJounte's minutes. But the main one is DeJounte Murray, LaMarcus Aldridge. DeMar DeRozan I'm cool with for tournaments. I mentioned the position is deep and his price is elevated, so I don't know how much of him I actually get. But I have a lot of teams, so we'll see. I might find my his usage lately has been awesome. He's looked great lately. Stepping it up huge. On the Sun side, Rubio's price is $8K. Holy fuck. That surprised me. I don't know why I didn't know that. Well, I just didn't look at him specifically. I don't know. That price is kind of high. It's a good matchup. In tournaments, he'll be low owned because of that price. I can tell you right now. So if you want to give it a shot. Oubre is back, though. DeAndre Ayton coming off a good game. This is a really good matchup for him as well. Baines is out, so maybe we have some room to increase his minutes with Kaminsky also gone. I think we can. I think we can. I think we could raise him a little bit. I mean, 34.5, so it's going to show 35, but I think 34.5 plus is a boost in matchup. But I think he's a guy. I mean, we already went over, what was it, Gobert at 81. For another couple hundred, you could have Aiden, who has got a significantly higher usage rate. I would not want to leave him out. You know what I mean? Just wouldn't. Well, Kelly Oubre plays a shit ton of minutes. He was hurt for a little bit, but he plays a shit ton of minutes. I think getting some exposure to him is probably fine. Not sure if they're going to throw him back into that 40-minute role coming off a brief injury, but they may, and that's what he's been doing. Him and Booker have been playing just a ton. Booker in that category, coming off of an awesome game, but he's in that category that we had talked about before about not really sure what to do with him, I guess. Being that the position is fairly loaded and there's a lot of guys at his price. Like Damian Lillard with no CJ McCollum is significantly is cheaper than Booker today. But that is going to cause his ownership to be lower, and the Spurs don't really offer much resistance. We do have to adjust for Cameron Johnson. We know Cameron Johnson is out. Maybe more minutes for Bridges. Maybe more minutes for Oubre. Maybe that's going to solidify Oubre playing the shit ton of minutes. Dario Saric might be interesting. Just as I think about this, unless they play Diallo more, which doesn't look like something that is likely to happen. Let me just look, because I'm. If you look at, look something up real quick. Yeah, I mean, just looking at their big situation, it's either Check Diallo is going to get some run today, or they're going to end up having to play Saric at backup center, right? Either that or Ayton is just going to see a shit ton of minutes. So I would say what we'll do, we'll take Cam Johnson, put him at 0. Maybe we'll raise Dario Saric to like 24. We could probably put Bridges, who we only had at 28.5, to like 31, which I don't think is going to have too much of an impact on him. I think his price has just gotten too high. It shouldn't have that much of an impact. And I'm going to give Ayton, I'm going to give him that 35, or yeah. Yeah, I mean, one of these guys, something's got to give here, right? Maybe Diallo does see more time. It's either that or, like I said, Saric plays backup center and Ayton plays a ton. Let's see how many minutes he's been, what's his name? Check Diallo has been playing. He's really not in the rotation right now at all. He did play on the 18th, played 3 minutes against Boston. They were short that day too, and they didn't elect to do it. They don't need a big. Baines did play 12 minutes that day. What did Ayton end up getting? Ayton played 36, so I think that's the route we're going to go. Ayton did play 36 minutes that day. That's going to make him a lot stronger of an option, which is why we do this show, like to go over this stuff. Last thing I'm going to check is how much Saric played, because Oubre is back, so we did get a body back that's going to play big minutes. We don't want to overreact. Wow. Saric actually got 37 minutes against Boston in the last game, which was on the 18th. Anthony Davis will be limited to 28 minutes. All right, we'll have to make that adjustment. But yeah, Dario Saric played 37 minutes against Boston that day. 11 rebounds. Boston is a bad rebounding team. Played 28 against the Knicks. Again, Oubre was out for those games. Oubre is now back. So they don't have to play him, but maybe he does play some backup minutes at center if he's getting all those minutes in general. But again, with Oubre back, I'd be too afraid to project him for anything too crazy. But I think we can raise him to around like 27-ish. Because of the Baines absence and Cameron Johnson absence, I think there is room. I mean, on FanDuel, again, he'd probably be a pretty awesome play at this point. On DraftKings, it's not terrible, but it looks like we need a little bit more. Say 28 if you want to be aggressive. Does that do anything? Probably not. No, it's not going to do much. Again, on FanDuel, he would be a phenomenal value play. On DraftKings, doesn't do all that much for us. But Ayton, we walk away from this thing believing that Ayton's a better play. I agree with that. It's not terrible. Let's go to the last game. Obviously, a shorter slate. Going to finish a little early. We've got the Golden State Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers. Here we go. One of the games of the night, if you will. Yeah, we got to make some adjustments on these Golden State minutes. We're going to do that together. It's going to be fun. Get a little taste of the process. All right, first thing we're going to do is actually tweak this Lakers situation so that when we go back to that, we're good. But we're going to knock AD down to around 28. I'm going to actually give LeBron a slight increase because of that. Because LeBron will get some time without him on the court. And then I think Kuzma, we're going to want to raise a little bit too. As well as Dwight Howard and all these other guys. So Kuzma will raise. Howard will put up to 20. McGee will put up to 19. All right, so that we'll go back to the Lakers situation in a second. I want to go back to we want to get to Golden State. All right, we got 32.25 for D'Angelo Russell. He's played 35 and 36, so I think we have some room. Again, that position is deep. You'll see in a second. Damian Lee, 37 and 33. That Denver game went to overtime, I believe. So we're really, but 32 to 33, I think is reasonable. So we'll go 32 and a half. Burks is the one whose role is kind of in question, I think. He did get 32 minutes against Orlando, but that game was kind of a blowout. He got 32 against Denver. That was with overtime. Take overtime out. He only got 25 minutes that game. It was kind of weird. Glenn Robinson is a game-time decision. We got to check the status on him. Draymond Green is back. He was somebody that missed a game recently. So maybe 25 is a little too conservative. Maybe we go 26. Draymond, I'm okay for 30. As long as he's not like... What happens to Draymond? If we bump him up, I shouldn't move him too much. D'Angelo Russell's projecting fucking like an awesome play right now, and I agree with it. What we do, 35.5 minutes for him? Yeah, I did 35.5. I mean, but realistically, even if we go 35, it ain't gonna change that much. I mean, he's still gonna be a phenomenal play. Yeah, 5.97. Yeah, still awesome. The rest of it, I'm not, is what it is. I do think this would have been a great spot for Paschal, but with Draymond back, I'm worried about his minutes. But this is a spot we know forwards typically do really well against Portland, but right now everybody does. Let's be honest. They're just not. Everybody's going to do well against Portland. Willie Cauley-Stein's kind of interesting. It's just if we thought he was going to get more minutes, I'd be more aggressive about him. Whiteside is not a good defender, and they're going to need size on the court. But they do have Marquise Chris back. They can use Spellman in that role. It's a little too deep, and they haven't really shown a ton of faith in him. So that kind of sucks. But D'Lo looking like the standout. Now we get to Portland, the team of the night. Yeah. Team of the night. Let's see. Gary Trent. That's something we got to make a decision on. So the last game, the guys did blow out. I was looking at Popcorn Machine earlier, and they actually didn't have this game up there, which is extremely frustrating. They have games from the 18th, but they're missing, for some reason. They are missing two of the games, one of them being this one. It was Gary Trent's birthday that last game. They gave him like 37 minutes. He went out there and went nuts. Portland did give up in the second half. It was in the fourth quarter, about halfway through the fourth quarter. They're still thin. You see all the zeros. Gabriel obviously is not available. Trevor Ariza is not ready to make his debut. There's a contract issue with Gabriel that they have to wait a couple days before he can play. So you're looking at, it looks like maybe they do have they did call Moses Brown up for backup at center. But I would imagine that you still got Kent Bazemore, who has to have a role filled, and CJ McCollum, who has to have a role filled. So I think Gary Trent and Simons are most likely going to see minutes again, big minutes. Simons is the one that we're used to. Gary Trent, they never played that much, but they decided it's tough. But it's hard to get around playing these guys with how thin Portland is. Now, the main plays are a little easier, right? Mario Hezonja is an interesting value play to take a chance on if you want to get different with the value in Portland. But the main plays are very simple. Hassan Whiteside, who is 7,500 on DraftKings in a nut matchup. Damian Lillard, 8,400 in a nut matchup. Carmelo's in play. But, I mean, this looks like a pretty awesome spot for all these guys. I mean, it's going to be the chalk. It's unfortunate. We have a 221 total here. Portland is 6.5-point favorites. They haven't looked particularly great. Golden State's looked decent as in terms of bad teams like playing better. So it is what it is. You can see it in the projections. Like as of right now, you're going to get a lot of Whiteside, Lillard, a lot of Trent. We'll see what it does with Simons. If you want to flip-flop that, I think there's merit to it. Maybe Trent, we have a little too aggressive at 32, but the minutes have to go somewhere. And as far as the 2 and 3 goes, it's just so likely. Because remember, one of these guys has to play backup point guard at least. The other one's going to start from McCollum. And then it's just, they're just so thin. These guys are going to have to play. It's the bottom line. 3,200 for Trent, 39 for Simons. On a 5-game slate. I think there's a world where, Trent and Simons do well at their price, but don't do well relative to the slate and relative to raw score. And again, they're at a position that is deep. So maybe we just go a little more balanced and at least in some of our teams and ignore it. We've seen that situation work out. I'm going to check and see. I haven't really looked at a ton of ownership reports, but now I'm kind of curious. So Damon Whiteside, obviously we know. Yeah, Simons and Trent are up there in ownership. So it's interesting. D'Lo's up there as well. Um, FanDuel just said fuck it. I mean, not FanDuel. I guess RG just said fuck it today, huh? I don't blame them. It's a holiday. It's a weird day. I don't blame them. But yeah, I mean, that's the scenario that I'm at. We'll hear what Paulie D thinks. We're gonna get him on here in a second. Looks like he's ready a little bit early. So we'll get his thoughts. But that's kind of how I see it going. Yeah, train wrecks. Please shout out to Paulie. We'll be back. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Paulie. Take a couple minute break. We'll be back in about 5 to 10 minutes. Nation, again, we're not turning off the stream. Keep everything running. Go stretch. Go do your thing. We'll come back. Finish this up strong, long, and hoard. Long, and hoard. Because that's what we do. So don't go nowhere. Well, actually, go ahead. Do your thing. Just don't click out. Because we'll be right motherfucking back. That's how we do. What up, nation? We are back. Back with the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D. You can find him on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. If you didn't know, now you know. Paulie, what's happening?
What up, baby?
Oh, man, just a wild day.
Happy MLK Day.
Happy MLK Day. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Obviously, for us, it was just a complete grind, going through the two slates. And, it's one thing to do two slates. That's no problem. But to do it in the way that DraftKings and FanDuel just both decided to do it, which is frustrating. DraftKings should have never had the 2 o'clock. They should have had 5 o'clock. You could have had 5 o'clocks could have been its own slate where all the games started at the same. Yeah. It could have been glorious. Instead, they put out the 2 o'clock through fucking 7 o'clock, making a massive early slate where there's not a chance you're going to have the news in time for anything. And then and obviously they put out shitty contests, of course, too. And even the $2 that we like to play in, it doesn't exist. Legitimately doesn't exist in the main slate. It's like I'm gonna risk $300 to win $500. No, thank you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like no, thank you. You know what I mean? Anyway, what are your thoughts on the slate, man? It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, Portland's gonna be like massive chalk. I can't think of anything like news-wise we're really waiting on, but we'll see if any surprises drop. I think the cash game lineup kind of builds itself. I think nailing that Portland game is like essential to the slate. Everyone's kind of in play. You're not going to play them all in one lineup. So what's the game flow like? How does that impact Golden State? And then, there's like a couple. I mean, all the games are like essentially like 225-ish totals, a little bit less, a little bit higher on a couple. But I personally think like any one of these games could be the game tonight. Even like Indy, Utah, which will probably get, mostly ignored outside of like Mitchell and Brogdon, maybe Sabonis. So I'm like, gonna have Portland everywhere, but I want to utilize it in different ways to incorporate these other games. Any one of these games hits overtime, and that'll be the game, no matter which one it is. Usually these straightforward slates can get wonky in terms of the results, even though the guys everyone plays are pretty easy and obvious. What the end result lineup looks like that wins is very different from what everything projected. So I just think playing everything, over the field than what the field is doing, and not being under on Portland, but having different game flows from Portland, covering it all and just seeing what happens. It's how I'm going to approach it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask. So this seems like one of those situations. Gary Trent, I would anticipate him and Simons, more so Trent, to be pretty popular today, right? We have studs like LeBron and it's interesting because it's the exact scenario. We've discussed this multiple times about it's at a position that's fairly deep, right? There's Kemba Walker. There's a lot of guys outside of Damian Lillard. So take Damian Lillard aside because he's not a value play, right? He's just the play today. But then when you're looking at Simons and Clark, is this a situation where the mid tier is so strong again and guard is so deep again that the raw points beat out whatever those guys do? I know Trent.
Right.
That was a birthday. It was his birthday. He played 37 minutes because the game blew out.
They gave up early. He hit 3 threes in the last 2 minutes. That's 11 DraftKings points. That significantly sways his result from what it should have been. I'm with you. Gary Trent, and I like Gary Trent a lot. I've used him in preseason and the end of the season when they don't play the starters the last game, and he's always done me well. But he's probably the highest projected guy that I'm the least interested in. I mean, I think you got to have some, but I don't think his result is a guarantee to happen again. And I actually think, Simons, kind of underperformed, and he's more likely to do better than Trent.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. But in general, I agree with you. It's a situation where I'm going to have Trent, but I'm going to try to be underweight and go for some different builds, especially because, what are you playing Trent for? Who are you trying to play? I think that there's ways of doing it and being different. Like you said, I know you have thoughts about Anthony Davis that we'll get to later. And like that's a way you could be different, right? You're playing the chalk, but you're getting some being different. Otherwise, if you're doing that and you're gonna play LeBron like everybody else or whatever as that last stud, like what do you need Trent for? Maybe you need Trent to get one more mid tier guy. I think that makes sense. But ultimately, it comes down to what you think the actual ceiling, I think, of Trent. Like, what is the real ceiling if this game does stay close and Damian Lillard and Whiteside are on the court for their 40 minutes that they're usually going to play in this situation? What happens then with these guys? What kind of ceiling are you looking at? And I guess that's what you really have to decide, right? As far as your builds go.
Yep. Exactly.
I'm with it, man. So I guess getting into it, talk to me about the studs. We'll do the optimal builds in a sec. Talk to me about the studs, though. I want to get your opinion. There's not a ton, obviously. It's a 5-game slate, but whoever you want to classify as a stud. I know Damian Lillard's in the mid tier, but we can classify him as a true stud because like he's just a stud play today. But rank them for me.
I guess we'll cut it at like Sabonis at 7-9. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good for a 5-game slate.
Okay. So let me just isolate. So, all right. Well, there's a handful of bigs. All right, we got AD, Towns, Jokic, Gobert, and even Ayton, right? And Domantas Sabonis. So there's 6 bigs. All right, so let's just like look at them. There's not one that separates truly for me. I think, a little bit cheaper. You got Whiteside will be very popular, but I think these guys are all kind of interesting. Like Karl Anthony Towns is going to break out, right? I think we need the game to stay close in order for that to happen. But, I like the usage. I like the shot volume from the first game. And, essentially what he did in the first game, if he would have just done well and got more rebounds, which that's a little concerning, he could kind of hit a ceiling at low ownership. I feel the same way about AD. Like 28 minutes is kind of a lot. Like, is that even a limit? Like, in 28 minutes, he could go for 60, if he's efficient. And I think the Lakers are likely to push him to 32 if the game commands it, right? Like Boston, I think this one's on national TV. And it's a great spot. Like, they have no size. So, like, he's interesting at low ownership. DeAndre Ayton with no backup, right? At 8-3, the guy's been getting like 20 rebounds a game the last 2, like, 15 and 21, like averaging over 50 DraftKings points. At 8K, that's a bargain. Domantas Sabonis, Utah's been getting beat up by bigs. He's pretty much like, unless he has a bad day, he goes for 50 at 7-9. That's attractive. Rudy Gobert's price is way down, and he's pretty much averaging like 47 on the dot, unless he goes for a lot more or a lot less. So, that's like almost a 6x projection. All these guys are kind of interesting to me, even Jokic. Like, so I'm just going to kind of like get like 15 to 25 of all of them. None really separate. Probably Towns and Jokic towards the bottom, right? The other guys a little bit more, and even AD, closer to 20, just because I think like raw scores may end up meaning something this slate, right? Then when you kind of back it out to the rest of the positions, obviously LeBron is fine against Boston. Damian Lillard is certainly attractive, probably the most attractive of this group. Booker and Ricky Rubio feel overpriced with Oubre coming back. DeMar DeRozan at 8-2, I love the way he's been playing, but DeJounte Murray's kind of like, showing signs of life again. But against Phoenix, I could live with any of them. So the bigs are my priority outside of Lillard is, I guess, how I'll summarize that.
Yeah, I think that in general, not even in terms of studs, in terms of general position depth, it looks like power forward and center combined kind of, along with guard, like I guess, forward, center, guard, which tells you how loaded this 5-game slate actually is, right? Like it's just talking because of the way DraftKings is structured. It's like, like you can play them all at multiple positions. So when you're combining everything, now all of a sudden it's kind of deep. You got a lot of guys that are underpriced, like LaMarcus Aldridge, who's 6,800 against the Suns. You got DeMar DeRozan, who I know his price is up, but as you said, the usage that he's demonstrated lately, and again, we have Rudy Gay out again. We've got, Carroll, I know it doesn't matter, but Rudy Gay's out once again, and he's just been awesome. So it's deep. It's deep at those positions, and that's what makes me wonder about Gary Clark. Going back to him and in Simons, either one of them, just from the perspective of, is this slate too deep to expect those kind of players to do the dirty? You know what I mean? Like, they're cheap. Don't get me wrong. They're basically free, but again, it comes down to ceiling. Are we going to sacrifice their ceiling, the ceiling of like a Devin Booker or like one more stud? Or not even stud, but just one more good player at that position. At guard, again, there's a few of them. And let me ask you a question. I mean, this guy's been a terrible, terrible play ever since Murray and Harris went out. But Monte Morris, I feel like, is an option. Like, he's not quite as cheap, obviously. He's for something. But I've noticed, and I think you pointed it out to me, that guards have been doing just the dirty to Minnesota. They've just been going absolutely like ham. And Monte Morris is never a guy that I'm like gonna feel comfortable going heavy on, especially after what we saw the last time he was chalk. And not that he's gonna be chalk, but you see my point. You see where I'm going with this. This is a guy that was just chalk 2 years ago. He played 29 minutes in the last game. Different circumstance. Beasley, everybody saw the Beasley game where Beasley got the whatever he got, massive minutes. Didn't realize the next day he only got 23 because that's just how the game went. Close game. They just didn't play him. Or maybe it was a back-to-back. I don't know. What do you think? Are there pivots that maybe aren't as cheap, but are cheap?
Well, I mean, obviously Simons, but Jarrett Culver's probably a pivot for a little bit more. Why is McConnell popping? Is there somebody missing from like Indiana that I'm not realizing?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, like he's, I'm seeing him at like 5.5x or so.
Yeah, that's only because he's 3,200. He's like,
Okay, just crazy cheap. Yeah. And then with Rudy Gay out, that probably makes one of the value guards from San Antonio interesting. But which one? Yeah. Patty Mills, Derek White, the dude that I love. There's like a couple of them, But one of those could be a pivot. You never know when, like, what's the guy's name? Like, Forbes is going to shoot well, something like that. But yeah, there's not a ton of pivots down there in like value land that, like, Jordan Clarkson, I guess, although that's just complete randomness. There's no reason for it. But I do like Monte Morris. I think he's projected a little too low, and I know he hasn't done well, but that's not what we've seen from him in the past. And I think this is certainly a spot where he could bounce back at much lower ownership. But that's what's interesting. It's like you said, the value to get who. Not that he's a major value piece, but I just kind of feel like 2,000 higher is really the land you want to live in outside of down there.
Yeah.
DeJounte at 5'3" is probably your best pivot though that I didn't mention.
Yeah, no. And you know what? What you just said is exactly the point. You're going up a couple grand to get to Murray, obviously, but Murray can get you a 40, maybe even a 50, maybe even more. If this game does go to overtime, hypothetically, we know he's not on the limit. So if he's just playing well, it may not be probable that he goes for that kind of ceiling, but if Gary Trent finishes with a 20 today, which is definitely a possibility, right? We've seen him start multiple times. We've never seen him play a significant role for real. In the past, when he started, he would come out real quick. Simons would go in. We'd see them play a little game. Now they're just too thin. The contract thing with Caleb Swanigan or one of those guys? No, Gabriel, I think it is. The contract is all weird. Yeah. So they're thin again. They still are low on bodies. But again, we saw Gary Trent get a lot of that, like you said, at the end when Dame was already out of the game, Whiteside was out of the game, and he was playing with the other scrubs. So again, if he gets a 20, and DeJounte Murray goes for 40. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really what, the more I think about it, that's really what I'm concerned about. And again, like even as DeJounte Murray is the closest one is in terms of price. But if you go a little higher, there's Malcolm Brogdon who's cheap today. Kemba Walker's cheap today. There's a lot of guys that are there considering it's a 5-game slate. By the way, Rajon Rondo is available to play. We got that news in Boston. Rajon, is that him on TV?
I think so,
like
but
fun.
I'm not sure.
If you like to have fun, I doubt I do much with that. But you know, if you are looking to be a little bit different with the same build, I guess he's one more guy you can add to the mix. But I'm kind of starting to like the idea of just going more balanced and not needing that mega. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm starting to like that idea, but I guess it depends on some of the news and how it falls. You know, I wanted to ask your thoughts on the Denver game, Denver, Minnesota. That game to me is kind of interesting. Basically, if you could break that game down for me, because looking at the pricing, this is a good spot for Denver. Again, I'm not talking about the cheap guys, but just talking about Will Barton, who played a ton of point guard and looked awesome. Yeah. But he's 7'8" now.
I know. Michael Porter's 6'5".
6'5".
Like,
Jokic is in an awesome spot too. We're not even sure how much Cat's going to play. He's only been playing like 28 minutes a game. And Minnesota's favored in that game. That's the impact of missing 3 starters. Minnesota is favored. Talk to me about that game.
Yeah. So, you know, I do like this game a lot, right? Like, you know, both teams are missing or, you know, not at full strength. Both teams are not playing good defense, so the game should be higher scoring. You know, Will Barton's price is elevated, but I do like him. You know, he really was like ultra aggressive that first game. You know, the first one that those two missed, Murray and Harris. Like, I think things go through him as long as he plays well. And, like, that's a very good matchup against Minnesota, who get burned by wings. You know, like, I think he can get a 45, right, in 36, 37 minutes and be a very good play if he's hitting his shots. You know, I think it's a stack situation and there's like multiple combinations, but on Minnesota, like I think Wiggins is kind of the centerpiece, and then like you can mix in one of the, you know, 2 guards, maybe even 3 if you want to include McLaughlin, who's, you know, seems to be locking in that backup role, but Shabazz or Culver, you know, or, you know, I do like being first on guys like Karl-Anthony Towns who haven't played in a while, and their price is down a little and is going to be very low owned and like has a massive ceiling, you know, and like there's not going to be like an announcement. He's just going to play 37 minutes one game. And like, you know, the first game, his volume was there. He just had no rebounds. Right. So I'm all right there. Those are kind of like the only guys I'd be really interested in. Denver is like a whole different story. I mean, I could legitimately talk about like 9 guys, and this is a team missing, you know, 3 core guys. So it's like, you know, Jeremy Grant, while Michael Porter's had all like the, you know, all the attention, he's still playing big minutes and his price is way down. I do like him. Like I said, I like Will Barton and Monty Morris, but like, you know, Beasley, PJ Dozier, Jokic, like, I think I'm going to play some Michael Porter even at 65 because, like, when he goes off, he's like, you know, like we talked about, he can go for 50 and his minutes are very, very secure. And I think people are going to shy away at that price. You know, like he's gone for 47 and 37 the 2 games past this, you know, 1 dud of 24. Like, you take both of those. So I think it's a stack 'em, you know, game stack situation where you get both sides because they're both going to like push the other. But the combinations are aplenty, you know, so if you're going that route, you know, have multiple different combos. If I had to say, like, who my favorite player from either side is, I guess it's going to be Monty Morris, Andrew Wiggins, and Jeremy Grant, and Will Barton.
Yep. No, I hear you. Let's get into some optimal builds, Paulie. Let's talk some cash games, and then we can, you know, work on our teams and try to take some questions.
Okay.
Who are the Portland situation? Are we just playing all like the first 3 ones? Meaning,
Who's that? Damian, Hassan, and Simons.
I guess Simon.
Melo?
I guess it's both of them. Is it both of them? Not Melo,
I
but
think you
Simons
can.
and which one would you?
And Trent.
Yeah.
Man, I really don't love Trent today, but in terms of optimal, he's probably in that conversation.
And that would be the scenario, right? Play him heavy in the cash game and get underweight in the tournament.
Yeah, and get under in 20s. I mean, let's leave Trent out for now because I even think there's like a argument for like Hanzonia over Trent, but go Whiteside, Lillard, Simons, right? And like now that you have 3 from that game, I think it's just like a must that you play D'Angelo Russell, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love D'Angelo Russell.
Okay.
So I was actually going to ask you about him, and I forgot. I love D'Angelo Russell today. I was curious on your thoughts as another guard. Like, talk about how deep the guard position in general is.
Yeah, I mean, he could shoot 1 of 15 or 14 of 15, but he's going to get 15 to 25 shots up, and Golden State's terrible defensively right now. I mean, Portland, so yeah definitely.
Oh, diggity.
So, then I think like you want something from Boston. I mean, I don't know. They all kind of feel underpriced in Boston.
I get the feeling. I agree. They are all underpriced. My favorites for tournaments, Gordon Hayward would be one of them. Now he's gonna. I would anticipate him being among the most popular because he's 5'6" after going for 40. I understand Kemba's back. I understand Jaylen Brown is back, but still, like I think that's a little ridiculously low. But I'm with you. Like that's the problem. And even if you run projections, like you get 3 to 4 Boston players in a lot of teams if you don't change none. If you just project them raw for the minutes, they project well. They continue to be that mid-tier team.
Yeah, I mean definitely Hayward at that 5'6" because we need forwards. All right, like we already said, Simons, Lillard, D'Angelo Russell. Right, so like we only got one more guard spot, and that's in the utility.
Right.
Okay, so. We got Hassan at center, right? So it's got to be Gordon Hayward in that small forward, power forward slot.
Yeah.
Then you got 2 more forwards and, a utility. Like, I think you want to put LeBron in.
If we can reach him, sure. I mean, we have all this money to spend, right? Like, especially, like, I know that AD's back, but with the limitation that he's at 28, I know me personally, I had to raise the minutes a little bit more for LeBron.
It's that. Like LaMarcus Aldridge at 6'8", and then depending how much money we have, we talk out the last two.
If we try LMA, I wouldn't mind because the price. I think he's cheap enough. Like he's cash viable just based off his price. Like forget about his matchup. Matchup is extra, which happens to be great.
Yeah.
So maybe we do that.
Right.
Maybe we go LMA and then see like that reach that one more mid tier guy.
And with Rudy Gay out, so yeah. All right, so we're putting him in that forward slot with Gordon Hayward. And the small forward. So, like, now we have, the forward and the utility, right?
Yeah.
Any clue how much money we got left?
No. I'm about to actually check some.
That's kind of important.
Oh, shit. Oh, here we go. I can check right here. Okay. It's actually not that different from my dummy lineup, bro, at all. Okay. Let's see. Trent.
Hey, putting in real
Holla. Okay, so that's 7,300 per position. We have Ford and util available still.
Yeah.
And you could grab another Celtic if you wanted to.
Right.
That's one option.
So I mean if you put LeBron in, do we have enough or too much? Right? We should have like 4K left.
We'd have 3,800 left. Which, like, this looks like a pretty sick tournament team. For cash, I'd be a little nervous about the guys we're left with. But this is looking like a pretty decent tournament team, actually. Like, look at, a common build. I think we're going to see this build a bit in tournaments.
Okay. I mean, we could put one of those centers like DeAndre Ayton in the utility. Oh, he's forward eligible. We'll put DeAndre Ayton with no backup in.
Did you already have D'Lo in that build?
Yeah.
So
yes.
you didn't have Simons, right?
No, we did. We had Dame Lillard, Simons, D'Angelo Russell, Hassan from that game. That was 4.
So Trent was the one you didn't have.
Yeah, we left Trent out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. And we put Gordon Hayward at the 4.
Yeah.
At the 3. We put LMA at the 4.
Yeah. Whiteside.
And we had the last spots. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, if you want to put Ayton at the forward, what does that leave us with? Like around 6?
If we put Ayton in, no, because the builds we had before, I had Trent in there. So if you have Dame, Simons, Hayward, Aldridge, Whiteside, Russell, you actually only have 5,100 for Ford and utility.
Okay.
But I'll say this: if you do play Trent, and this is a cash team, so I think you could play Tatum pretty comfortably. So you're looking at Lillard, Simons, Hayward, Aldridge, Whiteside, D'Angelo Russell, Jason Tatum, and Gary Trent Jr. I would be okay with that for a cash game. I know I don't have the stud LeBron, but I think I have a pretty good mix of like good players. We got 2 guys from Boston who are projecting well as a team. We've got 4 guys from Portland, 2 of which are just dirt cheap. You got LMA taking advantage. Golden State, we got D'Lo bringing it back on the other side.
Yeah. I mean, I do think Donovan Mitchell is like appealing for cash too, but I don't know who we'd sacrifice to get him in there. And positionally, it doesn't really work out, So.
Right. But again, just another guy though to again enunciate like how deep the guard is today, and that's what makes me nervous about everybody loading up on Trent. Like I'm still gonna play Trent. Obviously, I kept him in the article, but I did take him out of the core because of the more I thought about it, I'm just like I can just totally see this guy going for like 23, 24, which is great, but I can just see like all these other dudes going for 50. Like remember that day, Rubio went for 60 that day, and every guard just went nuts, and I can kind of see that lining up for something similar, but we'll see. But I'm with that.
So let's talk about Portland. Like, how many eligible bodies do they have today?
Portland. I got the perfect thing to look at that. All right, so we do. It looks like Moses Brown might be up.
Yeah, I see him for projected minutes. Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would. Yeah. So, assuming
with him and Ford, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 9 guys total with Jalen Horde and Moses Brown. I mean, it's a 7-man rotation, and that includes Mario Hezonja, Anthony Simons, Gary Trent, and Nazir Little, all under 3,900. Like,
yep.
How would you rank these guys? Like, for me, it's like Dame, Hassan, and then they all are very close, in my opinion. Like, I think there's a world where Melo goes for 40 and is really valuable. I think there's, a world where Hezonja is the best value play. I think Trent could obviously be the best one again. Simons could. Even Nazir Little, who's probably my least favorite, like, he's the cheapest, and he's at the position where they're the shortest. So, I don't know. I think I'm in, like, how many minutes did Mario play? 29. I think Mario is actually my favorite value play.
Hezonja, he makes sense. He definitely makes sense from a pivot standpoint. You can get access to very much. He's very similar price. That makes sense. And the matchup is Golden State. Every one of them's got a good matchup.
Yeah. And then besides D'Angelo Russell from the other side, is there anyone from Golden State that you're into? I mean, Damian Lee's price is up, right? Draymond's playing, but you never really want him. I don't know what to do with the bigs. Burks feels expensive. I guess Glenn Robinson's status is very important, but I don't really have anyone on Golden State outside of D'Angelo that I'm really that into.
No, it's too unreliable. With Draymond back, it's just too unreliable. Like all those guys, and like you said, Glenn Robinson, we're waiting for him. It's important, but even if it is, it's still difficult because Draymond's back. So guys like Eric Pascal, they're just harder to project. It's hard to get the true minutes of what they're going to play. But D'Lo for sure stands out. Like he's the one guy that we've seen a consistent role, and they seem pretty intent. So I'm with you. It's just him. I would even be interested in playing like Cauley Stein if I thought that they knew what they wanted to do at center. But I genuinely think they don't know what they want to do at center. So I don't know. I just can't do it. Dirty style.
What about like exposures? Like, how high are you going to be on Trent and Simon?
So I'm assuming, like, how popular do you think those guys are going to be? Let me ask you that. Like, what ownership would you project them for?
40% ish, I'd say.
So I'll probably come in around, if he's going to be like 40, I'll probably be somewhere around 30. Like, I want to be under, but I'm actually anticipating him to be a little higher than that. I think he's going to be like 50. Because the builds, like, that I was getting with him in it, they were tempting, you know? Like, he wanted to, like, if you ran everything raw, optimizers were giving you a lot of Trent. So I think people would have to manually either adjust his projection or take him out. Because he's projected for like 30-plus minutes across the board. And I think he's going to play big minutes. I don't think there's a question about that. They're just too thin. He's going to see the minutes. So I think he's going to be somewhere around 50, maybe even 60. The only, like, the variable to me is Simons. Because he's normally the chalk one. Are people just going to abandon? You know what I mean? Like, so I can't tell. Maybe it's split between the two of them, which would make them, you know, closer to like 40. But I'm looking at about 30. I'm going to try to go a little bit more balanced. What about you?
Yeah, on those value guys, and I'm looking around 20 to 30, you know, and that's including Little and Henzonia. And I think, you know, like I'm going to be over on Henzonia and Little and under on Simons. And it's more just because the balance build feels more right to me. But there are some of those contrarian stars and scrubs where I want to play like AD and Jokic or, you know, with Lillard, and I'm going to need them. So kind of the same thing, under the field on the chalk shit, over on the other stuff, and, you know, kind of going to make sure the builds make sense. Like, you know, if you have like Henzonia and Little, then maybe it's not with Hassan White.
Sevens all day. Yeah, I feel you. We're about 30 minutes out from lock. I'm going to look into some questions at this point. Going to check the Ystream page first, get them in. We got Bazzi with a question right out the gate. Sabonis or Gobert?
They're both in good spots. Gobert's minutes have been really good, and Sabonis has been fighting back from an injury. Sabonis has higher usage. That's a tough question. Gobert by a hair, but I kind of like them fairly equally.
Yeah, it's tough. I think as of right now, I have more Sabonis, but obviously I'm not done, so it doesn't mean I'll end up with it that way. Let me see if there's any other ones. Look around with the YouTube. McDermott for value?
Yeah, you know, I like had to do a double check on him, like why, you know, our projection system, not ours, but the Cruncher one had him so low. He's been playing big minutes, and he gets like that second unit run with like a lot of the usage. Yeah, you know, yes, and for value, I think that's really interesting. You know, and I don't play that guy ever, but they're kind of, you know, he's going to be low, and he's been doing it.
I feel you. He's been doing it well. Doing it well. So, how much Dame and Whiteside are you looking at today?
I mean, I'm going to let the thing get like up to 50 on those guys. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a 5-game slate, and I don't see how Whiteside doesn't do well. And, you know, Dame, like, the only reason it would be like if they smoke Golden State and he just doesn't need, but if the game's close, he's going to go bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm allowing myself a shit ton of those guys. It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge, bro. Trent. Where you at, Trent? Gonna lower that ass.
Is there anybody on the Lakers that you're interested in besides LeBron, AD?
Not really. I don't think so.
Yeah. Me neither.
Yeah, I don't think so. Let's take a look at center. I feel like, oh yeah, Doug. That's what I was gonna say. I feel like I'm not getting a lot of these guys. Well, that's gonna happen when you have 60% Whiteside. You're gonna end up with not a lot of the other centers, right? That makes sense. All right. Doing dirties. Like it's your job. Man, Sabonis only 7,900. What are they doing? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta make sure I get a significant amount of Ayton. A decent amount of Ayton. I was looking at the, we know Baines is out, obviously. Cameron Johnson's out. I know Oubre's back, but Saric actually has been playing some pretty big minutes over the last 2 games. I'm sure Oubre is some of that, but I think part of that is also the fact that they're not really willing to play Diallo a ton. So I think they're using Saric also to dip him in to back up center minutes. And, nothing spectacular. I wouldn't project him for more than like 26, 27, 28, somewhere around there because Oubre is back. Oubre, man, you think he's going to go back to just playing his 40 minutes a game? Because that dude was playing a shit ton before he got hurt, man.
Probably, yeah. But I was nervous about his usage with Ayton coming back because he was getting all those minutes and good usage with no Ayton. Now Ayton's back and like somebody's got to take a hit, and he's like the most likely culprit. Him and even Devin Booker, I could see slowing down, and he's even more expensive.
Right. No, that makes sense. I agree. Somebody's got to take the hit. Long, man. I'm trying desperately to look up Jalen Horde's middle name. But he's French, so I don't know if he has a middle name. Not every country does the middle name thing. I'm gonna look. If not, I'm gonna give him one. Jalen.
Is it gonna be long?
It's gonna be long. Like it's gonna be long. Longin. That's what it's gonna be. Longin. That's what it's gonna be. No, he's got no middle name. He's just Jalen Horde. All right, it's official. A Longin. Jalen Horde. Jalen Longin Horde. I love it. He might become my new favorite player. Oh, shit. Sharp the fucking people's elbow on my fucking laptop. That was good. That was really good. Down for the count. People's elbow on him. All right, I'm going to pull up the injury feed, guys, and we'll see if anything big happens, if anything epic. Derek Jones Jr., questionable to return. As you can see, Rajon Rondo will play. We'll have to see what happens. Shout out to those of you who are able to find us on YouTube. We're on a different channel while we're on our little suspension with our other channel, but I finally figured out how to contact them in some way, and so hopefully we'll hear back and be back on the regular channel. But just in case, make sure you subscribe to this one if you haven't already. We will remain on Twitch and Periscope, so if you'd rather watch us there, do the dirty to yourself. It's all good. How many teams you building today, Paulie?
80.
80, getting dirty with them. It's a shame they didn't.
Yeah. They suck.
So how?
I mean, they couldn't do like the 8,900 one, you know?
Yeah, what I meant. Which Celtics are you gonna have the most?
Kemba, Hayward, and Brown in that order. Kemba, I'm gonna have the most of. I shouldn't say that. Kemba's the one I want the most of, but position eligibility kind of makes it that I'll probably have Brown or Hayward more.
Yeah, I feel you. Right now, I mean, Hayward I'm going to have the most of because of the price, obviously, but I guess the next one for me is Tatum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just... even with lowering his minute projection, he projects so well. That's correct.
What do you think about Cantor? Like, they really seem down on him. You know, the minutes, even when they should be high, have not been good.
I mean, if there was ever a team they would need him for, it'd probably be this one. You know what I mean? Like, Lakers, between Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, and Anthony Davis, like, you would think. I mean, I'm not trying to put ideas in nobody's head, but not for nothing. But if there was ever a spot to use a guy like Cantor when you're an undersized team, you would think that just having a big guy out there, you know? But I guess, you know how it is. If they're successful without him, they will not use him. But if they fall like 15 points behind right away because the big guys are killing them, then they'll give him a shot and see what it does. But I think he's interesting. I would be surprised if I didn't end up with some of them. I would be shocked.
I mean, you don't need much time to crush that price.
That's what I'm saying. Long. And Horde. Let's see. Any questions, Nation? I'm going to check on you. 5,800 left. Oh, it's our boy Shockey. What's up, Shockey? Shockey's got 5,800 left for forward. 58 for forward left. Who's your favorite? 5,800 for forward.
And he's already got Hayward?
Do you already have Hayward? Shockey. Gotta wait for the delay to kick in.
I mean, there ain't nobody there. I don't really like Draymond. Hayward's 56, and then it's 53. I mean, there ain't nothing. It's a go back to the drawing board or, play Hayward, but I'm assuming he's in there.
Long and hard. I'm fighting the urge to just break into a heavy chord with long and hard. I'm just dropping it on him. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna do it to him. But I just got this urge to just be like, just go into it. God damn it, Shock. Oh, he asked the question 8 minutes ago. He's probably, my bad, Shock. He's probably not even he's probably not even there no more. Going back to Towns, not for nothing, I don't have any right now, but even in the 28 minutes he's been getting, which you would expect to rise to 30 very, very soon, if not more than that, this is a nut matchup. Jokic, come on. Jokic ain't, without Millsap down there, Jokic ain't guarding nobody, man. It's interesting. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Style. Long. Towns up in this. Bitch. Need a little more from you, Towns. A little bit more, bruh. Boom.
Make sure you hit the right slate when you're exporting.
Ooh, that's a good call. Gangster call, actually. Sick with it. Oh, Oubre had a concussion. So, yeah, okay. I forgot that it was just a concussion.
Yeah, it's concussion protocol. Yep.
So, yeah, I would imagine he's good to go. It's just his head. No big deal, I'm just kidding. Speaking of that shit, you watched that Hernandez shit yet?
I don't know how many episodes it is. I've seen 2. I've seen a lot of the gay fucking the quarterback on his high school team, and then a lot about his dad. I think there's a couple more to go. I will say that his girl stayed with him till the bitter end, pretty much, when everyone else was like jumping ship.
Oh
And that
man,
was
yeah.
kind of.
She turned on her family and
I watched
everything.
it with my girlfriend. I'm like, that's how you gotta be, baby, all the way. This is great.
To the grave. Don't ever snitch nothing. But in all seriousness, that was yeah, I mean, she turned against her family and everything. And then no, you haven't seen the third part. I'll wait till you see the third part. But yeah, it was kind of interesting to say the least. You know. Rank favorite to least favorite: Burks, Robinson, or Bridges. So Alec Burks, Glenn Robinson, Mikal Bridges.
I hate Mikal Bridges, so get rid of him. Burks and Glenn Robinson.
Yes.
I mean, Burks has the higher ceiling, and we don't even know if Robinson's playing. So I'll say Burks, Robinson, Bridges.
Burks, Robinson, Bridges. There you go.
Right back. Like, I just have almost no interest in Bridges.
Yeah, no, I don't love the price. I mean, he's a guy I never liked to play in general. Anyway, I'm with you. He did smash last time out, but I believe Oubre was out. He was definitely out. 30s and 7s. Shout out. Where we at? 15 minutes to lock? Shit, I gotta make some decisions. I'm sitting here bullshit. I got some decisions to make, man. So how much LeBron are you gonna play?
Give me like 30 seconds. I'll tell you what I got, because I just did my 3 little crunchies. I just gotta upload and go back and see what I got. But I don't think I ended up with much, actually. Like, I had to project him really high just to get some. I will say that Jaylen Brown has like always done well against LeBron.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Just, I don't know. Dating back to like when he was on Cleveland, LeBron. Or Cleveland.
Yeah. Got a whole lot of D-Lo. I can't enough of these. Oh, okay, yeah. How much would you playing, brah?
Tell you 1 second. But probably he's going to end up around like 35, I would guess.
Hey, word. Doing it to
No, any lineups out or any news that we weren't expecting?
Nothing, man. It's ghost status. It's like
because
all the damn games are already rolling. Oh, we had a late scratch earlier. Nerlens Noel.
Yeah. Who was in my FanDuel.
Boom. That's how that's done.
He was. And I mean, was it after lock or would I have caught it if I was
It was after
attention?
Lock. It was just straight up.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't even feel that bad about it.
No, you.
Good thing is I have Chris Paul and Harden at like crazy low ownership on FanDuel on those teams. So maybe I still min cash, but yeah, I was like, man, this is why I don't play FanDuel.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I
don't know how, don't at least have that drop shit.
Oh, the drop score.
Just nothing.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to drop as well.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the squadrons in.
Squad live.
Let me upload into that swap though. Let me take a sneak peek at my afternoon teams. I doubt if any of them are doing great. All right. None in the money towards last place on DK. Awesome.
Get him. Ballin'.
Harden's at 50. That game could go to OT. Jay Crowder dicked me in the ass.
How does it feel?
Always does. And even on FanDuel, that Nerlens Noel thing is catching up to me. Chris Paul's at 50.
Motherfucker was at like 40 at the half, man.
Yeah.
Slowed it down like a motherfucker. I guess you knew it was coming, but
That like always happens.
yeah.
So I have Whiteside at 50, D'Angelo Russell at 48, Kemba Walker at 43, Monty Morris at 41, Jason Tatum at 37, Rudy Gobert 34, DeJounte Murray 33, LMA 32, Dame Lillard 31, Gordon Hayward 20.
Holla. How to play it when you see him in the streets.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with that. I'm cool with that.
Just gonna straight drop deuces on him. Straight dropping dooley burgers. Little buzz action. I feel it. Little hoo-ha. Masterful.
That's it, man. We're like here, 5-game slate.
Is what it is. Ain't what it will be.
Oh, but you asked me about LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see what I ended.
Oh, we got the starting lineup for the Celtics. Walker, Brown, Tatum, Hayward, Theis, as expected.
So, LeBronius, I've got very little. Jesus. 16%. He's on 13 lineups.
Yeah, I'm only looking at about 20 myself. Just curious. How much Sabonis you got, bruh?
16. Same as LeBron.
LeBreezy.
I got a lot of Tatum, LMA, Henzonia, Bojan, and Ayton.
Holla. I'll play when you see him in the streets. You got any Brogdon?
Definitely.
Brogdonovic.
13%.
Holla. I'm actually pretty close. I got like 20 a Sabonis and 20 of him. Aaron Baines officially ruled out. Kelly Oubre officially available to play. 10 minutes to lock nation. 10 minutes to lock nation. Gotcha. MG's talking about he going 77% Whiteside, 70% Trent, 63% Lillard, 37 Simons, 25 on LeBron, 33 on Sabonis. Holla. MG's digging himself some Gary Trent tonight.
I mean, say that again. What was the Trent, Dame, and Simon splits?
MG says he's got 70 Trent, 63 Lillard, 37 Simons,
Oh, so he's lower on Simons.
Yeah.
So like I guess that works, Like I just wouldn't have all three high.
Yeah. I'm going. I'm like I said. I'm going. I'm going a little lower on them. I'm gonna have them, so I have a shot. But I'm going to go a little lower on them. Just kind of hope for the best.
Yeah, I had to push Trent's projection way down to get less of him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. I mean, I just capped him. So the old Cappington.
What a shame on that Noel late scratch because Steven Adams ended up getting hurt, and that would have been a great play at low ownership.
Yeah. Yep. Would have been phenomenal. Instead, you got screwed, and that's what we call thug life. What we call thug life, man. And we're back.
We're back.
Let's see what else we got. Brogdon 5%, 8-31. Got you. MG doing dirties on the weekends.
How much AD did you play?
I'll tell you in 1 second. I'm in the phase you were just in a little bit ago. Let me see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something to get him in. I don't think it's gonna give me a lot of him naturally. Let me see. Where are you? Davis. Oh yeah, 48.7. Yeah, I'll probably try to play like 10 to 15% or so. Davis. Because I only have 20 of LeBron. I just wasn't really high on the studs because I'm not going big on
Yeah, I like the balance.
Yeah, I just like the more balanced build.
7 minutes to lock.
So. Okay.
Yeah.
All day. All day. We got 5 minutes to lock, Nation. We got a starting lineup for Timberwolves. We've got Napier, Culver, Wiggins, Covington, Towns. Nothing out of the ordinary there.
Did you play any Towns?
No, I tried to, but I'm just running out of time. I was trying to see how much I would have to, but no, just didn't have time to do. Oh, well, you know what? I'll probably just late swap it. Yeah, that's what so I probably will end up with some probably late swap.
I think they start first, though. I think there's two games that start at 7.
Just the Lakers and Celtics. The Denver game starts at 8.
And 8. Oh, okay.
30 minutes to, maneuver, get in there, and all that good stuff.
So, like, your top 5 highest owned guys, what, 3 of them are Trailblazers?
Just 2, Whiteside and Dame. And then D'Lo, Hayward, Tatum, Aldridge would be the next.
Who are you the lowest on that you're worried about?
Probably AD, Cat, like those kind of guys, I would say.
Uh-huh. How much Will Barton?
I don't have any, man. He's too expensive.
How much Monty Morris?
I do have 20% of him.
Yeah.
Got a little something from it. Just take what you could afford. You know what I mean? It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life.
Who do you got in the Super Bowl?
Ooh, Chiefs. They say defense wins championships. I say bullshit. What about you? What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I think the Chiefs too. I really just believe in Mahomes. Like, he got down against the Titans last week and Houston 2 weeks ago, even worse, and just like didn't even flinch, rallied him back. Like, I think like if you're the Chiefs, it's like, let's force Garoppolo to beat us and stack the box and don't let them run on us. And
right.
I don't think Garoppolo's going to do that. I don't think he's got it in him quite yet,
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It's going to be nice weather and all that. I mean, honestly, if there was like a lot of points involved, I'd be tempted to, go with the underdog more. But, being how it is, like, what's the value that you're
it's
getting?
Like a pick 'em.
Yeah. What's the value that you're really getting by betting it,
Yeah, and like realistically, the Packers were not anywhere near the second best team, like in the NFC. They were just that division was weak. Right? The Titans were better than people thought, and that conference was actually better, so
right.
I don't think the Niners would do that. I got to look and see like what they did against some of the AFC teams. Yeah. But right now I'm leaning the Chiefs. I mean, we got 2 weeks to think about it, but
yeah. Truisms.
Where I'm at.
Truisms. We are 2 minutes away from Lock Nation. It'll be fun. We'll I'm definitely gonna play. This is the first time that I'm gonna MME the Super Bowl. Right, the showdowns were kind of new, like it was like weird. But I'm looking forward to it, man. It's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Showdown season, as they say. That's what I hear.
Sezin. SCN.
Sezin. Zezanovic. Yeah, it looks like we're not going to get... we're not going to get anything too crazy, I guess, going into this thing. We got a minute to lock. It's about to go down. Man, I hate when I look down and I see that I have a ton of exposure to the first game. I hate that. And I do. I have a lot of it. From the Celtics side, obviously.
Holy shit, Dylan Brooks went fucking bonkers.
Again?
Uh-huh.
He's on a heater, man.
52.8 FanDuel points.
He's on the heater. And we're at Lock Nation. That is going to do it for us today. I'm exhausted. I'll be back with the First Look podcast on Podbean and iTunes, audio only, tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow we're back with the regular content, regular Wise stream, all that good stuff. Hopefully tomorrow more of a normal day. Today was wild. Paulie, anything in closing before we get up out of here?
Nah, good luck. See y'all tomorrow. Dirty style.
For Paulie D, from myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.
There's only one game.